All right. So, welcome back to episode number 44 of Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. I'm that other dude, Andrew. I'm joined as always by Heather.
Hello.
And today we have three bands we're going to talk about. Uh, it was my turn in the rotation, so I suggested Charley No Face, Earthride, and Drop Dead Dammit. And then you were kind enough to give me your picks of the tracks. So let's just jump right in to good old Charley No Face,
Yeah.
who are from Portland, Oregon. And the first album that we're going to listen to is called The Green Man, which came out in April of 2020. And this was I don't know if this was on like a year-end list or if it was how I heard it, but somehow I was pointed in the direction to check this band out a couple of years ago. Um, so that's how they got on my radar. This wasn't a YouTube spelunking mission where I just happened upon them. Someone, I wish I remember who it was or where it was that I read this, suggested checking this album out. So yeah, from Portland, Oregon, Charley No Face with Green Man, the first track, uh, aptly called Gatekeeper.
I love the mixture of garage rock, psychedelic rock, and doom. I knew I was going to like it as soon as it started, as soon as I started listening to it, I liked it just right off the bat. Even though I hadn't heard this record, it felt comfortable, like being enveloped in a nice warm blanket, probably because it's like right within my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I felt similarly. Um, I try not to read anything written. On Bandcamp, a lot of people will offer up their 2 cents about bands. I try to avoid reading any of that before we listen. Uh, I felt like Gatekeeper was a symbolic title. This we're going to enter the realm of this band and see if we like them. And a couple of people on Bandcamp had mentioned Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats and All Them Witches. So going into it, I kind of knew I would like the music just based on that because I'm a fan of those bands. Um, and I won't offer up any comparisons, but if you are into that sort of slow, psychedelic, awesome music, then you're definitely going to like what Charley No Face has to offer. So, yeah, so Gatekeeper was very much in the wheelhouse of that sort of slow psychedelic garage rock that I dig very much. Um, and then next up was Prism.
Yeah, this is it has really fuzzed out and atmospheric guitars with dreamy floating vocals. I saw a comment on YouTube about Charley No Face and the Green Man was an actual story. So I looked it up and it's an urban legend in Pennsylvania, but it is also a true story. The man's name was Ray. He was electrocuted as a boy and survived. He was hidden away by his family, so he would go out at night and he would walk the roads and the tunnels, and that's how the lore started and the urban legend of him started. It's a fascinating story. I really recommend looking it up and reading about it. There's a lot more to it, of course, but I just thought that was really awesome, the band name, and and it's an actual story, so that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I did not know that. So I will have to do some research. Um, Prism, I felt like the opening riff reminded me of the song "Sweet Dreams" by the Eurythmics. It's obviously very much different, but there's sort of like the first part of it, the den in it. I'm not going to be able to do it without the. You all know the Eurythmics riff on "Sweet Dreams," and if you don't, you've probably heard the Marilyn Manson version of it. But the first few bars reminded me of that, and then but it's different. It's like more of a bluesy psychedelic sort of feel, and obviously it's not the same notes. Um, and then yeah, very haunting vocals. I felt, uh, and then some progressive time changes, which I thought was interesting, because that was sort of a new element that they were introducing. The fact that it wasn't a traditional structure for the song. But yeah, so far, two songs, two jams, very much in the wheelhouse. Track number three was Wasted Youth.
Yeah, the first half of the song has more of a punk vibe, and then the second half of the song really slows down and gets psychedelic. I thought that was really cool. It ends with the lyric "wasted youth" over and over. They sing it over and over at the end, so that really kind of drives it home.
Yeah, this one had more of a garage rock feel to it, as opposed to the bluesy psychedelics of the first two tracks. And this had a quicker tempo. It was very much straight up garage rock, almost surf in a way in terms of the feel to it. And then yeah, it dissolved into a slower, sludgier type thing. So it was really cool how they combined sort of both elements into the jam.
Yeah, and garage rock kind of reminds me of surf rock. They kind of they're kind of similar in a way, and that because I was thinking that too, the garage rock, and I was like, I was thinking of different surf rock songs, and the way that they're similar.
Sure. I think they're probably, uh, you know, organized similarly. I think just the tone is going to be vastly different.
Yeah,
But yeah, the last track is Master of Light.
yeah, I really like the vocals and the lyric. Crimson eyes on the golden prize, distorted mind is melted, master of light exposing lies, good fortune is ending, master of light, faceless forms come to life, master of light, slowly poisoning my mind.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't focus as much on the lyrics as you did, which is why I appreciate the fact that you do more lyrical analysis. Um, I wrote down just a question mark because I don't think I knew how to categorize this track. It was like every time I felt like, oh, this is reminiscent of this genre, it would like not hold properly, and then I would have to go back to zero again. So I'm not sure how to describe Master of Light outside that it's got somber psychedelic feel to it, and then it kind of becomes doom. But again, it's really open to interpretation. So I suggest you listen to it. I'm going to say this earlier in this episode than I usually do, but hit pause, go check out the playlist that Heather's put together, and listen to the music. You'll have a better idea. You can either nod your head in agreement with what I'm saying, or you can shake me off like a catcher or pitcher suggesting, no, I'm not going to throw a curveball. Um, Okay, so next up was the album 11,000 Volts. And this one I did look up. Um, you may have also looked it up, but there was a story that I found about a boy in India who is able to absorb 11,000 volts through, have the current pass through his body. Um, I'm not sure if that's where they got the album title from, but that was.
Well, that makes sense because it's similar to what happened to the Green Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
There's nothing except for the phrase 11,000 volts. There's nothing to suggest that I found the exact story, but Yeah, it pointed to an adolescent in India who is able to um, have 11,000 bolts pass through his body and he's still fine. So,
Yeah,
um,
that makes sense.
okay, so first up on 11,000 volts is the track Eyes.
Yeah, and I really like the bass and guitar intro. I thought it was really cool. I love the mixture of the male and the female vocals. I saw a lot of comments on Bandcamp. Um, I came for Skeletor, but I stayed for the music, and they're referencing the album cover, which is a man wearing a mask with some extremely gnarly looking teeth. So I thought that was funny. And that's what album covers are supposed to do. They're supposed to, get your attention, draw you in, and then you start listening to the album and you just can't stop listening to it.
Yeah, that reminds me of Scott Ian from Anthrax talking about and I know I've mentioned this on the show before, talking about the first time he saw an Iron Maiden album cover and he saw Eddie and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's what the music is supposed to look like." So very much there's a a connection between the music and the album cover. So yeah, this one does a good job. And I like that. I stayed for Skeletor. I came for Skeletor and I stayed for the music. Um, yeah, for Eyes, I felt like this time with this album, or at least this track, there was more of a stoner desert rock psychedelic vibe as opposed to like a bluesy psychedelic vibe. Um, just a reminder, I don't have any music background, so I could just be making all this up as I go, but that's how it sounded to me. And I feel like the fedora gives me some credibility. So, um, but yeah, I didn't have much to say about this album other than it's a banger, and it's more sort of desert stoner rock than the previous album, which was more garage rock psychedelics. Um, but next up, we have Mosaic Sky.
Yeah, really beautiful, dreamy vocals. And I also really noticed that this album is not as garage rock sounding as their previous album. They definitely changed their sound a bit. I really like what they did. It's more melodic, heavy psych and doom. It has more atmosphere. This was such a great choice. Just really, really great choice, and I really like it a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I felt like this was as with a lot of them, we sort of hit home runs without knowing it. Um, and then later on, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is a dynamite record and band.
Yeah,
So yeah, Mosaic Sky, I felt they were good. This was more of a bluesy stoner. I feel like a lot of desert rock can be sort of categorized with more of a blues influence, sometimes a psychedelic influence. Um, so yeah, this time they were going back to more of a bluesy stoner, but yeah, really sort of haunting vocals. And I like the fact that they're not just recycling the previous album and staying with the same formula. Like they're spreading their wings, trying new things. And moving on, next track, Big Sleep.
yeah, more dreamy vocals, and I thought the guitars sounded bluesy. It definitely has that bluesy feel to it. Has a really nice bluesy riff and melody. I really love the vocals. They're soothing and comforting. I thought this was a really beautiful song.
Yeah, this was another sort of bluesy stoner. This one, though, a little bit slower in the tempo, and they used kind of the loud, quiet, loud formula that I appreciated. Um, but yeah, I mean, and again, you can tell it's the same band in both albums, but they're doing enough different things that the albums are distinct from each other, which again, I really appreciate. And then the last track, Death Mask. So Death Mask and Big Sleep, similar subject matter.
I like how it starts out kind of deserty, kind of shoegazy, and then it's like release the hounds, and it just goes full out. I felt like it was a revival, and it was so joyful. It just really cemented how much I like this record.
Cool. Yeah, this one I again I wrote bluesy, but not like Delta blues. Very dissonant in a way, with psychedelic vocals, and then it picks up with the intensity, like you said, release the hounds. Um, so yeah, so I can't really choose between albums in terms of which one was my favorite. I think the song Prism was probably the one that stuck out the most to me. So I would say that would probably be my favorite track, and that's off of the Green Man. But for those of you out there, definitely check out Charley No Face. Pick up both their albums, or listen to the playlist Heather put together, or do both. You can do whatever you want. It's the beauty.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so then next up we've got Earthride and Drop Dead Dammit. Do you have a preference of?
We can go with Earthride.
Okay, so Earthride, I listened to the album Something Wicked. They're from Maryland. They're one. So what I've discovered is that there's a very rich history of metal bands from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, that sort of go. You've got the Obsessed, Spirit Caravan, um, Pentagram, Iron Man, like a ton of just these bands who I've discovered within the last couple of years. Um, so Earthride was another one of those bands that I just sort of discovered recently because, of the suggestions that people would have. Like, if you're a fan of this band, this type of music, you'll love this band. By the way, I realized I just jumped right in with my spiel and I didn't give you the opportunity to talk. So let
That's
me,
okay.
let me tag you in so you can speak, and then I'll.
Well, I noticed that the cover art it kind of looks like a tattoo. There's a skull and flowers and dragonflies on it. This has a very low tone and a lot of fuzz. It's gritty, massive down tuned doom, raspy, growly vocals. It feels dirty and sleazy. Reminds me of the time I went to London, to an underground club in London, and it was dark and loud, and everyone was wearing some kind of leather, no frou frou drinks. It was, you get whiskey or bourbon and you get it neat. Mixed drinks are for sissies. And there's drugs in the bathroom, but you have to walk through this massive haze of smoke to get there. And the music is so loud you can feel it in your bones. When you leave, you have to sleep for days because it was such an experience never to be forgotten. But I want to give a super sky point to Dave Sherman, and acknowledge all the wonderful things he did, for the music, for all the bands he was in, and for the music that we love. And may he rest in peace.
Yeah, Dave Sherman passed away this year, so definitely rest in peace. And I didn't know that this was his band essentially after Spirit Caravan. So I think this band formed in 2005, and what sort of pushed me in the direction of wanting to check them out was the fact that it was kind of sludgier doom, like you had mentioned in your description of the bar that you would be at in London to see a group like this. Um, so immediately it was right in my wheelhouse. Um, just with regard to, like, if you think of your favorite doom band and then you make them sludgy, you'll get Earthride. Um, just great, great down tune jams, really cool stuff. I think that I know they have more than just this album, so I will go back and be prepared to do a deep dive on their music. But I feel like these days there are so many bands out there who don't get the recognition, just because there's so much music. So this is great that we can kind of shine a light on a more of a regional, band like this. So yeah, so definitely check out Something Wicked. It's a great album from Earthride. Check out all their albums. Um, and yeah, and then that brings up Drop Dead Dammit.
Yeah. And their album Hell of the Plains, which makes sense because I think they're in Oklahoma. um, it starts off kind of thrashy. They describe themselves as doom, horror, punk, and metal. I thought the second song, Stitched and Confused, was definitely more punk. And with the song Leather Apron and lyrics like, I like the way you bleed, it definitely has a horror vibe to it. Velvet Darkness was my favorite song on the album. It's more on the metal side, and I really like the vocal delivery on that. I like how the style is different than the other songs, and that shows me the range that they have, and the way that they can take this music in different directions. Also, anything that Steve is involved in, is going to be high quality. It's going to be great, and I wish him and this band, I wish him the best.
Yeah, so Steve, who also goes by Reaper, you can probably see him on social media. He's got a show. Um, but he's just joined. He's the new drummer for Drop Dead Dammit. He's not on this album, but he'll be playing on the upcoming album. Um, so yeah, they're from Lawton, Oklahoma, and what I liked is the combination of all the music that influences their music or that they use is all of my favorites. It's like punk, metal, grunge, and then the bands that they say for fans of were like also right in my wheelhouse. So what's really cool about all of their songs is you can sort of see that it's a combination of all those elements. Like if you were imagining an old stereo system where you've got the equalizer and the bass and the treble, and you have them set at like different frequencies. Each of these songs is like a combination of a different, like I'm going to raise the grunge on this one and lower the doom a little bit and raise the thrash. Um, so it's really like a recipe of all the stuff that you're going to enjoy. Um, I don't think there was a single song that I fast forwarded to like, yeah, let me get to my favorite. It was like, oh yeah, let me check this out. Oh, cool, this one has more of a grunge feel. Or like you mentioned, the lead track had more of a thrash feel because of the way the drums were played. So if you're a fan of any of those genres, any of the the great bands of the last 25 years coming out of the grunge scene or the punk scene or the metal scene, then Drop Dead Dammit's going to have something for you. So, and I'm looking forward to, again, I'm looking forward to their new album coming out, which will be awesome. And then hopefully Charley No Face will have a new record as well. And Earthride has a pretty vast catalog, I think. Plus, I'll be interested to check out some of the other bands from that scene, the DMV. So, so yeah, so that's it.
Well,
But
thank you, Andrew.
oh, it's my yeah, it's thank you. This is this is always my favorite. So looking forward to next episode 45, and then next month there are a couple of we've got Heather's birthday, which will be awesome, and then we've got the first ever happy hour with Heather and Guestable on the 22nd
Yeah.
with a couple great bands live streaming. We've got Clay Soldiers, Death and Gloria, Building Upon the Revelation, Grave Next Door, and who am I missing? There are five.
Yeah,
Did I say
I think
five?
I think you did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If I left anyone out, I apologize, but I think I got there are five bands. It's still to be announced in terms of the times, but that's the day, and it'll be awesome. So,
Yeah.
in the meantime, listen to the music that was on the show today, and thanks again, Heather. It's always a pleasure,
Thank you.
and have a good one out there.